everybody, and welcome to another video on my channel. Today I am going to be doing a step-by-step tutorial on how I created these 5 different floral designs. So if you are wanting some tips and tricks on some nail art ideas, just keep watching. Okay, up first we have this very simple 3-petal floral design. I'm going in with Fusion's Paints Purple 102, along with Fusion Paints Pink 102, and my Fusion Detailer brush, which is a very short, stubby, flat-ended brush. So I've already cured the purple, and now with the tip of my brush, I am just applying some pressure and then slowly lifting up to decrease the pressure. Again, press down and lift. Press down and lift up. This motion creates very simple petals that already have nice detail in them. The edges are a little bit more pronounced, and towards the center it fades. This is the easiest flower technique that I know, and anybody can achieve it, whether you're a beginner or advanced in nail art. Very, very simple, yet stunning. Next I'm going in with Fusion Paints White 101, along with my Mosaic dotting tool, which is a double-ended dotting tool. There's a small end and then a larger end. And with the larger end, I'm just dipping it in my white and putting some small dots in the center to create the middle of my flower. And then I'm going in and just adding a little more detail to the rest of the design by adding 3 little dots on each side of my middle petal. And that's it. It's that simple. For my next design, I will be showing you this kind of watered down rose. So I'm going in with Light Elegance Double Scoop, along with my Amore Bonder. And I chose Bonder because it is a very thin viscosity gel. You want a thin gel so that your colors can blend together. And I'm just applying a Bonder over the entire nail. But the key for this is you do not want to cure your Bonder yet. You want to keep it wet to do the rose design on top of. If you cure it, the colors will not blend. So for my color, I'm going in with Ugly Duckling number 23, which is a gorgeous kind of medium light purple. I love the Ugly Duckling bottles because you can use the corners of them as a little mini palette. And for the detailing, I'm going in with my Crystal Nails Zero Short, which is my absolute favorite detailing brush. So I am picking up a little bit of my purple and going in onto my swatch stick, which already has my uncured Bonder on it. And then I am just applying some petals. So my favorite way to do rose petals in this technique is to start in the center and then drag to either side. This makes the middle of the petal wider, and then it kind of tapers off on the edges, which I think gives an absolute gorgeous rose design. So because the Bonder layer is still wet, it allows the purple to expand. You can do this with any kind of color you like. My suggestions are just being sure that you use a very thin viscosity clear gel. And then I have tried with some different paints and gel colors, but I find that gel polish works the best for this technique because it is a little bit thinner of a viscosity compared to most hard gels. So in this, I'm just adding some more roses around the outside to fill in the details. And then once I'm happy with how it looks, I will be fully curing this. You will notice that my center rose becomes lighter and lighter, and this is because it is mixing in with that clear layer that we applied. So if you don't want it to mix as much, you can always cure in between. Just be sure to go in and apply more Bonder. For this design, we are doing a cabbage rose, and we are going in with Vetro 134 Mahogany, and then Crystal Nails Art Gel in Art White. along with my Crystal Nails 1 Move 1 Plus, which is a nice flat tapered brush. So for this I'm using the back of a nail form and I am squeezing out some of my art white along with some clear gel. For this example I am using Fusion's SL Clear. Then on the longest edge of my brush I am applying my white, and then on the shorter edge I am applying my clear, and then we will mix those two together, going back and forth, up and down a little bit, just to get a nice white gradient. Then starting in the middle, I am going to make 2 C shapes. And if you find that it is too white, always add in a little bit more clear to dilute that white a little bit more. The more you blend, the better it looks. So same technique as what I did for the previous design. I always start in the middle and drag outwards. For this technique, the hardest part of it is making sure that you have all bristles of your brush down in place to get the nice gradient. As you see, in some places here I have more white than what I do kind of the transparent white. So it's just a trial and error. This technique does take a little bit of practice to be able to fade them nicely. But I've done this technique on lots of my clients and they all love it. It gives a very, very cool, almost like 3-dimensional look to it. And I will not take credit for this design. I learned this design from Ramona Hales at the CNTC 2 years ago. So she is the one who taught me this technique, so thank you very much, Ramona. If you watch this, I am not taking credit. Ramona is a fabulous, fabulous instructor. If you ever get the chance to learn from her, I highly, highly recommend it. So I'm just continuing to fill up the nail with the petals. Then I cure that, and now I'm going in with my Crystal Nails 0 Short and into that white art gel that has not been diluted. And with this, I just go into the center of each of my petals just to give them a little bit more of a defined outline. I find this step really makes or breaks your design. If you forget this step, all the petals just kind of blur into one. Whereas if you outline the edges of your petals, it very distinctly shows where the 2 petals meet and completes the cabbage rose design. Up next, we have this really pretty kind of watercolor flower. So I'm going in with my Magic Gel 115 Pink Petals, Magic Gel 113 Coral Grace, Fusion Paints Yellow 101, and Fusion Paints Pink 103, along with my Ugly Duckling gel brush. So for this design, to start off, you want to blob on the colors that you want to kind of watercolor together. There is no rhyme nor reason to this, just apply them in random spots. You kind of want to keep in mind the shape you are going for. In this case, I am doing the flower, so I'm keeping it in kind of a round shape. Once they are all applied, I am going in with a little bit of alcohol on my brush, and I am simply dabbing. You want to just press down and lift up, and then be sure you are wiping off your brush in between, and just alternate between adding alcohol, dabbing it, removing the color, until you are satisfied with how the colors are all blended together. You want to be sure you don't blend too much that it all becomes one giant mess. You want to still be able to distinctly see all 3 colors, but you want to be sure you water them down enough to get the watercolor technique look. Once satisfied, fully cure. Then I'm going in with Vetro 289 Pigment Black and my 0 Short brush from Crystal Nails. and we are going to add the flower detail. So for this type of flower, I like applying one petal first and then going and doing the opposite petals, just to be sure that I have them all spaced evenly. So I will be doing the bottom petal and then the side petal so that they line up with the top petal that's already done. So the top petal will be kind of in the middle of the two base petals, and then you fill in the empty sides and will give you a nice evenly spaced 5-petaled flower. Once I have the tops drawn, we will just go in with a little bit more paint and just lightly draw down the center to create each distinct petal. With this, I am using a very light pressure, and this is really nice for this technique because it gives not an even line. It makes it kind of wonky and not straight, with some different bumps and lumps in it, which is perfect for this watercolor technique because watercolor is never perfect. So I feel like this kind of more stenciled flower look goes perfectly with this. So next I'm just applying some dots in the middle, and then I am wiping off the majority of the product on my brush and just very lightly going up the middle of each petal just to add a little bit more definition. I absolutely love how imperfect but perfect this flower is. For this last design, we are doing another kind of watercolor look but without alcohol. So I'm going in with Magic Gel's number 2 Universal White and number 96 Amethyst Orchid, along with Nail Innovations Caribbean Cruise, Fusion Pink 103, and I've applied all of these to the back of a nail form along with a little bit of clear gel, which is Fusion's SL Clear. And with my dotting tool, I am simply diluting the color into the clear gel. These colors are all very highly pigmented by themselves, so diluting it gives a much nicer watercolor look. For my brush, I am using my Ugly Duckling Acrylic 3D brush, which is a small pointed brush. And now with the tip of my brush, I am just going into the different colors and pressing down and pulling up, similar to technique number 1 that I showed. Doing this technique with these watered down colors gives a very gorgeous kind of watercolor look, but it's very simple to do and there is no blending required. The brush and your pressure does all the work for you. And if you're finding you're getting too much blended color, just wipe off your brush and re-dip it and continue on until you are satisfied with how your colors are looking in your flower. And you can always leave it just like this if you'd like, or keep watching to see how I added the more detailed flower look. So I'm going to fully cure that, and now I'm going in with my Crystal Nails Zero Short into my Amethyst Orchid. And I am going to press down and then slowly lift up as I come down the petal. This creates a nice pointed tip, but not as much definition as if I were to fully press down the entire way. By pressing down just at the tip and then slowly releasing my pressure as I pull down into the petal gives a much softer look to the flower. And I also prefer doing this type of flower with a corresponding color rather than black or white. Black or white definitely makes it a little bit more harsh of an outline, whereas if you use one of the colors that is part of your flower design, it will create a much softer flower and add to the watercolored look. So next, with an empty, clean brush, I am just dragging down a little bit of that purple paint to add a little bit more detail into my petals. Next, I'm adding a couple little dots into the center. And then again with a clean brush, I am just going to drag out from the center. And that is the end of that flower design, but to finish off the look, I'm adding some lines. So a heavy pressure released into a softer pressure creates a really pretty, soft, kind of whimsical looking line. And there we have it. So I hope you all enjoyed this mini tutorial. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next Monday. Bye for now.